Well, hi there, folks. Welcome to the program. This, of course, is Stinchfield, the podcast. We got a lot to talk about today, including an issue that is very near and dear to my heart, a new issue that has become near and dear to my heart. That is the fact that we have an unknown number of American citizens that are being held hostage in Venezuela. Nicholas Maduro, the evil dictator of Venezuela, is holding Americans, including an active duty Navy SEAL, 20-year veteran, served multiple tours overseas. And Maduro has this Navy SEAL in custody, accusing him of ridiculousness, of trying to overthrow the Venezuelan government, assassinate Maduro, all of its bullcorn. It appears he may have been scooped up from a Colombian hotel room when he was vacationing in Colombia. Now, the worst part of this story is that the United States military has not paid him his back pay. He's being held hostage now for close to a year. We have no proof of life other than that 6 returned hostages, returned in February, thanks to Rick Grinnell, we'll get into that, said, yes, we've seen Wilbert Castaneda. He is alive. There's another Air Force veteran we know is being held. Air Force veteran, highly decorated Joseph St. Clair in Venezuela. Now, did you know this? I've been doing this game a long time. I feel like I'm on top of world news, national news, what's going on, the pulse of America, maybe more than anybody else. Certainly up there with all of my peers in this business. I had no idea we had American hostages still in Venezuela to this day. Now, President Trump is working on getting them home. The sense of urgency has been upped, but we need to make sure these men are returned home. We need to institute back pay. The State Department not giving back pay to Castaneda's family. This is the Navy SEAL I'm talking about. So here you have a Navy SEAL. Bring Wilbert home is the hashtag. And he doesn't have his back pay. He's a father of 4, for crying out loud. Now, something's wrong in this situation. Biden administration was the one who just dragged their heels on labeling him as an illegal detainee, which held up his pay. Finally, the Trump administration has reinstated his pay for his family so they can survive. But where's his back pay? He deserves it. He's being held hostage. We're going to talk about this. We're going to get into this devious, deceitful interview by Terry Moran inside the Oval Office of President Trump. Absolute disgrace. With a smile, this guy comes in like a snake, and all he wants is an adversarial interview with President Trump. President Trump did an absolutely fabulous job with this interview, and I can't wait to show it to you. Before we get into all that, I want to tell you about my friends over at Colonial Metals. Did you know that President Trump has exempted gold and silver from any tariffs? So you're good on that front. Colonial Metals can take a portion of your current IRA or 401k and turn that into a precious metals IRA or 401k. It's about diversification. It's about a portfolio protection maneuver. It's about putting some of your money into a physical commodity. I call it gold you can hold. So if you want to talk to somebody about this, I would urge you to go with the people that I trust. Colonial Metals Group is one of those groups. Look, I vetted the gold companies that wanted to advertise with me. I've gotten to know these guys. I trust them. Talk to them about how much is right for you. freegoldguide.com/grant. That's the website I want you to go to. freegoldguide.com/grant. They'll send you a free gold guide. Everything you need to know about owning gold and silver to hedge your bets. You may get up to $7,500 in free silver, depending on your investment. So talk to my friends at Colonial Metals. freegoldguide.com/grant. freegoldguide.com/grant. Pay them a visit today. All right, with that, folks, let's get the show started, and we'll talk about these hostages that I'm so upset about that they're still being held in Venezuela.
Uncensored and unapologetic. This is Stinchfield. Here's your host, Grant Stinchfield.
All right, folks. So Grant Stinchfield here. It is so great to be with you. Listen, we've got an unknown number of American hostages in Venezuela. It pains me to say we don't know the exact count. It could be as many as 9. We had 6 returned in February, thanks to Rick Grinnell, who made a trip, negotiated with the Venezuelan government, got 6 back. We know of 2 for sure that are not back. We don't have proof of life from the Venezuelan government that Joseph St. Clair and Wilbert Castaneda are alive, but we do know from hostages returned that they were in cells next to them, so we're pretty convinced that they are alive. Now, Rick Grinnell went on with Megyn Kelly, and he talked about the return of these 6, but it's the 2 that I want back. I don't want to return back with leaving anybody behind. No man left behind.
It's an incredible story. I mean, I saw a lot of reactions on Twitter from, well-meaning fans of the president even saying, is it bad that I didn't know we had 6 Americans being held in Venezuela? So just give us a little background on who these people are.
Well, first of all, I have to say, I'm still really emotional about what happened Friday. It was probably the highlight of my career, to be able to represent America, to represent the president, and to watch what was happening in real time, to negotiate. Not only did we get the hostages back without paying a penny and without trading any hostages, which is really important, but we also got the Venezuelan government to bring their planes to the United States to take illegal immigrants in our country from Venezuela back to Venezuela. They are sending the planes and they are paying for it. I think this is the new standard. It's pretty amazing. But the negotiations were obviously very secret. I left Friday morning super early. I went on an Air Force plane, had Air Force protection. The Air Force is amazing. They've got young people who just are totally committed and working in secret and working around the clock. We flew out of Washington, D.C. We landed in Caracas and made our way into the presidential palace. There hadn't been a White House official there in Caracas in a very long time. And I started negotiating with the Maduro team and then eventually with Nicholas Maduro. And it was pretty amazing to be there and to negotiate on behalf of the U.S. But we had a clear mandate from President Trump. He knew what he wanted.
Wanted to bring those hostages home, but we didn't get all of them. Now, the family tells me there is a sense of urgency under the Trump administration where there was no sense of urgency under the Biden administration. Go figure. Go figure the Biden administration wants to leave a U.S. Air Force veteran in Joseph St. Clair and an active duty Navy SEAL in Wilbert Castaneda hung out to dry, left behind in Venezuela under the regime of a brutal dictator like Nicholas Maduro who could kill these men at any moment. Joe Biden ignores them. President Trump says, let's get them home. Now, it's imperative that we do. The fact that Wilbert Castaneda still does not have back pay. This is a man who served multiple tours overseas in some of the worst, most brutal places like Afghanistan and Iraq, fighting for American freedom and sovereignty. And to think that the United States military isn't paying him his back pay while he's being held hostage. Why is he being held hostage? I believe because he's a member of the United States military. What Venezuela engages in is called hostage diplomacy. There's nothing diplomatic about it. It's a scam. They scoop these people up. They've been doing it for years. And then they try to negotiate their release by trying to get something they want from the American government, or they're using it to get money. Either way, it's absolutely wrong, and America has to get these men home. Now, I had the great pleasure of interviewing Christian Castaneda, who is Wilbert Castaneda's brother. I brought him on the Real America's Voice show, and I want to play that interview for you because I want these men home, and I want you to see what they're going through.
Thank you, Grant. I really appreciate you having me today and allowing me to share my brother's story with you.
All right. So first and foremost, let me ask you, he hasn't been paid by the United States military? What in the world is going on here?
Yes, unfortunately, pay was removed shortly after. Of course, upon his he wasn't able to return from his leave, and that caused, I think it's called an unauthorized absence. And he wasn't officially redesignated as a wrongful detention until March. So with that lapse of time, his pay was paused. But now our State Department has made DOD aware, from my understanding, and they're working behind the scenes to try to restore that. We just hope that it's sooner rather than later.
All right, there's no excuse that it should last for more than an hour. They can hit a button, but this is the United States government at work. The State Department has declared him a hostage, so there's no excuse for him not getting paid. We got to make sure that happens. Now for proof of life. Do you know
Yes.
he's alive? I know the Venezuelan government refuses to give you any indication that he may still be alive.
Oh, Venezuela has been very quiet on all things regarding not just my brother Wilbert Castaneda, but also the other detainees. We did hear from one of the detainees that was brought back by Mr. Rick Grinnell, and who mentioned that he had close proximity to my brother as of January 31st, but we haven't had any proof of life since then.
What is it about this story from Venezuela that says your brother may have been involved in an assassination attempt? The State Department adamantly denies any of that. Can you shed some light on why your brother was in Venezuela and how he was captured by these military police in Venezuela?
Yes, absolutely. So actually, my brother went to Colombia. He went to Colombia, and we've learned, in investigating the situation, that he was visiting several beaches, he was at different bars, he was having a good time over the Labor Day holiday. We do know also that he entered into Venezuela legally. That was also information that was shared with us, but we think that maybe he was tailed or being watched afterwards and was subsequently picked up from his hotel room, a day, I believe, the day after.
All right, it would make sense that our enemies would do this, especially Venezuela. It has a history of doing this, to use them, as I said, what they call hostage diplomacy. It's totally wrong, and they'll trump up these charges. I have no doubt that that's what happened. And now let me ask you, Christian, what is it like to watch 6 Americans come home? I'm sure you're ecstatic for their families, but knowing that your brother is still there.
Yeah, it was very hard on our family. We were hopeful to get the phone call that he was one of the detainees that was released. Of course, we didn't have any clue that was going to happen. We received a call in the late hours of the evening from the State Department that 6 detainees were being released. Just my brother was not one of them. We did, again, hear from the detainees, and similar story, I think, with Mr. St. Clair's son, Joseph, that they've kind of taken a little bit of a leadership position with the other detainees, and it wouldn't surprise me if our 2 military veterans decided to let others go before themselves. As we know, the military likes to say no man left behind, and my brother, and we believe also Mr. St. Clair's son, decided to stay behind to allow others to return first.
Are you amazed at the lack of coverage? I can't believe, look, I do this for a living. I feel like I'm engrossed in everything going on around the country, around the world. I had no idea we had this many American hostages in Venezuela. Are you amazed the lack of coverage of this, the lack of urgency? I don't know if you feel like there's a sense of urgency on behalf of the government. Has anything changed with the Trump administration? How do you feel on that front, Christian?
I appreciate the question. I think since the administration changed, things have really accelerated as far as effort. There's a lot more communication, a lot more effort. Obviously, the designation to wrongful detention, we understand, does not typically happen very quickly, and it did in Trump's administration. However, I am surprised that this isn't front page news in a lot of the major media outlets, and also, frankly, surprised that a lot of our elected officials aren't more outspoken about our Americans in Venezuela.
They most certainly should be. As I mentioned, the back pay has been not given to him yet, and he's not even yet being paid so his family can survive. 4 kids. You have a GoFundMe page up. I don't often put this stuff up, but man, this guy's a Navy SEAL. He's being held in Venezuela. I want to help him and his family. Can you tell us where to find that GoFundMe page, Christian?
Yes, I shared the information with your producers earlier, but absolutely the pay has added a layer of complexity there for his family. Thankfully we've been able to work with a lot of his creditors, and try to negotiate. But it's definitely something that we're facing right now, is homes close to foreclosure, and we're doing everything we can to make sure when he does return, he can sleep in his own bed.
All right, I know it's filed under, it's GoFundMe, and Christian Castaneda is filed under your name, and Wilbert Castaneda is your brother, of course. Correct. And so I urge people to search there and help out with all they can. Christian, I mean this when I tell you this. Please keep me posted. If there's anything we can do, if we've got to put pressure on any agencies or organizations, please let us know. We are here to help, and that's all we are here for, is to get your family some relief.
Thank you, Grant. I did want to share, we do have an event Wednesday at 10 a.m. With the bringourfamilieshome.org. 11 of our detained family members all over the world will be featured in a large mural. The media is more than welcome to come and witness it. It'll be amazing.
All right, that should be. So again, how important is it that we get these people home? It's of the utmost importance. It's of the most urgency that I have seen in a long time for a story. And again, the mainstream media fails to cover this story. Why isn't it on the front page of the Washington Post? There's an active duty Navy SEAL being held by Venezuela. We talk very little about the American hostages being held by Israel. Why? Because they lived in Israel. Doesn't take away from the fact that they're American citizens. They get some coverage, not enough. But the fact that we have an Air Force veteran and an active duty Navy SEAL in Venezuela, to me, we have got to get to the bottom of this and get these men home. All right, I'm going to stay on top of it. That was my promise, 100%, that I will stay on top of it and do everything I can to make sure we get them home. All right, Terry Moran with ABC is just about the worst. He goes in and does an interview with President Trump. What a deceitful, devious interview. When you talk about a snake in the grass, someone smiling at you, but then giving you little landmines all along the way. We're gonna play that for you in just a moment. But before I do, folks, let me tell you about my friends over at EnergizedHealth.com. Have you heard of what intracellular hydration is? It's about getting hydrated at a cellular level. When that happens, joint pain tends to disappear. Your mind gets sharper. Fat starts to melt away. It allows your body to process things like protein to build muscle. So when you talk about this for older folks especially, that start to maintain the muscle that they have and lose the fat, start to increase the activity of your organs in a very healthy way. All of this is what intracellular hydration is all about. The real main benefit, though, is you start to lose weight, and you start to lose weight fast. I lost 15 pounds in 2 weeks. I think that may be a lot, but, with what I was doing, this is certainly possible. And here's the crazy thing. It was easy on the Energized Health protocol, and I mean easy. I want you to go to EnergizedHealth.com. Tell them Grant sent you. Check out the masterclass. It's free. Check out the testimonials. There's hundreds of them. 100% money back guarantee. 99% success rate. The only reason you fail is if you want to fail. Let's face it. Because if you even have the smallest desire to succeed and take your life back, this Energized Health protocol is for you. It changed my life around. It really did. EnergizedHealth.com/Grant. Cellular hydration. Learn about it. It's not just pounding water. There's science behind it. They can help you. EnergizedHealth.com. You make sure you tell them that Grant Stinchfield sent you. All right. Terry Moran. Man, oh, man. He does this interview yesterday on the 100 Days of Trump. Trump invites him in. And, this bit about the MS-13 gang member. What is it about the mainstream media that wants to defend Abrego Garcia, this MS-13 gang member? Check this out.
He wasn't a member of a gang. And then they looked, and on his knuckles, he had MS-13.
There's a dispute.
Well, wait a minute. He had MS-13 on his knuckles tattooed.
Oh, he had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute. Hey, Terry.
He did not have the letter MS-13.
It says MS-13.
That was Photoshopped. So let me
That was Photoshopped. Terry, you can't do that. Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay. I picked you, Terry. But you're not being very nice. He had MS-13 tattooed.
We'll agree to disagree. I want to move on to something else.
Terry, do you want me to show you the picture?
I saw the picture.
And you think it was Photoshopped? Well,
here we go.
Don't Photoshop it. Go look at his hand. He had MS-13.
He did have tattoos that can be interpreted that way. I'm not an expert on them. I want to turn to Ukraine, sir.
Terry,
I want to get to Ukraine.
No. He had MS as clear as you can be, not interpreted. This is why people no longer believe the news, because
when
it's
he was
fake
photographed
news.
in El Salvador, they aren't there. But let's just go on. They aren't there when he's in El Salvador.
They weren't there, but they're there now, right?
No,
but
they're in your picture.
Terry.
Ukraine, sir.
He's got MS-13 on his knuckles.
All right.
Okay?
Well, we'll take a look at that.
You do such a disservice.
We'll take a look at that,
Why don't
sir.
you just say, yes, he does, and, go on to something else?
It's contested.
Terry Moran knows that the man has MS-13 tattoos on his hand. Now, President Trump, in some respects, got set up, and I believe he got set up by people inside his administration that were not smart about things, okay? This is the close-up of the picture that was issued by the president of El Salvador, Bukele, when he was standing with Bukele. There's a marijuana leaf on there, a smiley face, a cross, and a skull. Gang experts say that represents MS-13, okay? The problem is the Trump administration, to portray MS-13, gave President Trump this picture. That picture has MS-13 photoshopped above the tattoos. I think President Trump maybe thought that the photoshopped MS-13 was the actual MS-13, but it's marijuana, M, smiley face, S. The cross is shaped like a 1. The skull represents the 3. MS-13. Gang members gang experts everywhere will acknowledge this. So now they're arguing about whether or not the writing MS-13 above the tattoos, which is meant to show you what the symbolization is for, is legit or not, and they're arguing whether or not the photo is photoshopped. So yes, that's photoshopped with the MS-13 on top of it, but it's not photoshopped with the marijuana leaf, the smiley face, the cross, and the skull. It is 100% indisputable that Abrego Garcia is an MS-13 gang member. The tattoos tell the story. That's all they need to say. If Terry Moran was legitimate, he would have said, Mr. President, I'm talking about the MS, the actual letters. I understand that the marijuana leaf, this, that, and he could have ended this debate over craziness. Now, I don't know why the White House chose to tweet out the picture with the MS-13 on it. You cloudy and muddy the waters, and you set yourself up for an argument when there doesn't need to be an argument. It's MS-13 on the guy's hands. But, again, nobody talks about the legitimacy of the marijuana leaf and the smiley face and the cross and the skull as a gang sign for MS-13. They're only talking about this MS-13 here as it's shown on the screen. Maybe I can zoom in a little bit on it for you. There you go. See this? So as I do this on the fly, MS, we know that the letter M, S, and the 1, 3 are photoshopped. So I think that's what Terry Moran is arguing about. And President Trump may not have even realized his team photoshopped that on there. Which, again, is unfortunate. But the reality is, what's the truth in the statement? The truth is he's got a freaking MS-13 tattoo on his knuckles, for crying out loud. The media is so deceitful. They really are, and they'll do anything they can to get the upper hand on President Trump. And it's maddening. You can see here on this tattoo, there's no MS-13. On this one. There's no MS-13 above it. But no one was disputing that. We know that that part was the Photoshop. But you can see the tattoos are very, very real that represent MS-13 gang members. Okay? Now, it gets, again, adversarial. That's the only way to describe this interview.
I understand you just had a phone call with the new Canadian premier, and they just had this election?
Yeah.
you were a big issue in it. And Canadians, many of them, are really angry, furious about your talk about we're going to take over, Canada's going to become the 51st state. And it kind of is of a piece. A lot of travel is down into the United States from around the world. It feels like there's been reputational damage.
The country's doing great.
Well,
prices are down.
Not the tourism.
Gasoline's down. Energy's down. Tourism is going to be way up. Wait till you see the numbers. The tourism is way up.
Not now.
Now Canada, tourism's doing very well. We're doing very well. We're doing very well. Wait till you see the real numbers come out in 6 months from now. Wait till you see the numbers.
But do you think, I'm going to ask you, if I may, do you think that...
Let me say something about tourism first off. Technically, tourism's down about 12% from where it was last year during Biden's administration into the United States. But here's the secret. Tourism is down because they're counting border crossing numbers. Not illegal border crossings, legal border crossings at ports of entry. Well, at ports of entry, the crossings are down because you've got Mexican nationals who now say they're afraid to come into the United States because they think they're going to get deported. So the crossings are down at the borders. Tourism isn't down. People flying from Europe to New York City or coming into Miami or coming into all of the great places that we have to offer in America. Tourism is down there. It's border crossings. But again, Terry Moran doesn't acknowledge that.
The reputation of the United States has gone down under your presidency.
No, I think it's gone way up, and I think we're a respected country again. We were laughed at all over the world. We had a president that couldn't walk up a flight of stairs, couldn't walk down a flight of stairs, couldn't walk across the stage without falling. We had a president that was grossly incompetent. You knew it, I knew it, and everybody knew it, but you guys didn't want to write it because you're fake news.
All right. Thank you.
And by the way, ABC is one of the worst, I have to be honest with you.
Thank you for the opinion, but more importantly, thank you for having us here. I have one more question. It's a big one. It's a question that you know a lot of people have out there. What do you say to people who are concerned you are seizing too much power and becoming an authoritarian president like we haven't had before?
No.
You see this idiot. Thank you for having me in. You're an authoritarian. Give me a break. This guy he's the worst of the fake news media.
Oh, I would hate them to think that. I'm doing one thing. I'm making America great again. We have a country that was failing. We have a country that was laughed at all over the world. We had a leader that was grossly incompetent. He should have never been there. The election was rigged. He should have never been there. Our country suffered greatly, and now our country's coming back like nobody can believe. I have editorials just today where they're saying they've never seen anything like it. They love it. Our country's coming back, and we're respected again.
Mr. President.
It's true. President Trump's right on all of it. Now, is it going to be a bumpy road? Of course. Many of the actions President Trump, they're challenging in court. I would like to see the challenges only in the district where the judge is, so you don't take a lawful order and then have a judge decide for the entire nation. But we have a court system in place that will currently rule on whether or not President Trump is an authoritarian or not. And by and large, when these get to the Supreme Court, which they all do, Supreme Court overwhelmingly rules President Trump is not an authoritarian. And he's well within his rights, and he is making America great again. But it was just a bad interview all the way around.
So Putin went in. I think Putin wanted all of Ukraine. Right. I think if I didn't win the election, he would have gotten all of Ukraine. I think he would have taken all of Ukraine. I think his first choice, never with me, he would have never gone in. With this group of losers, he went in, he saw what happened in Afghanistan. He said, wow, this is my chance. Because it was always the apple of his eye. I talked to him. Ukraine was the apple of his eye. I think he wanted the whole country.
You've said for months.
And because of me, I do believe that he's willing to stop the fighting. Don't forget.
You think he wants peace? You think Vladimir Putin wants peace?
I think he does, yes. I think he does. I think because
even with the raining missiles
I think he really, his dream was to take over the whole country. I think because of me, he's not going to do that.
Do you trust him? Do you trust him?
I don't trust you. I don't trust a lot of people. I don't trust you. Look at you. You come in all shooting for bear. You're so happy to do the interview.
I am
and
happy.
Then you start hitting me with fake questions. You start telling me that a guy whose hand is covered with a tattoo doesn't have the tattoo. You know.
All right.
I mean, you're being dishonest.
No, I'm not.
Let me
No,
just
I am
tell
not,
you,
sir.
do I trust? I don't trust a lot of people. But I do think this. I think that let's say he respects me. And I believe because of me, he's not going to take over the whole. But his decision, his choice would be to take over all of Ukraine.
I agree with the president on that. I also agree mostly with the president that Terry Moran is in there shooting for bear and trying to come in at deceitful questions when he knows he has gang tattoos on his fingers. And beyond that, I'm back on Abrego Garcia, but he knows he's got domestic abuse cases against him. He's got all kinds of nonsense against him. And that's the man that they choose to defend. So, I mean, I guess I dare keep playing this. But it just gets worse and worse and worse as it goes here.
You think the reputation of the United States has gone down under your presidency?
No, I think it's gone way up, and I think we're a respected country again. We were laughed at all over the world.
Are you using your powers as president to get personal revenge?
No, I'll tell you what. You're really not asking, and you should be asking. There has never been a president in this country, in the history, that was persecuted like I was persecuted by really crooked people, dishonest, horrible people, and it's been proven. So when you say I'm treating people rough, I'm not treating people rough. I was treated worse than any president in the history of our country. And, people figured, well, maybe that's it. Finally, we got, he's leaving town. There goes the helicopter. And then I came back. And I came back because I have tremendous support. When you win an election like I won it, and you will admit I won all 7 swing states, I won the popular vote, I won 2,750 districts compared to 500 districts. That's why the map is all red. And those people feel that I was treated unfairly. A president that couldn't walk up a flight of stairs, couldn't walk down a flight of stairs, couldn't walk across the stage without falling.
It's true. President Trump is correct in the fact that he won overwhelmingly. The mainstream media hates to acknowledge it, but he did. And he won overwhelmingly in large part because of the mainstream media and hoax after hoax after hoax. I mean, and continuing to this day inside the Trump presidency, they continue with hoaxes. The Signalgate hoax. They got all kinds of hoax. The hoax that Abrego Garcia isn't an MS-13 gang member. The media brings all the lies. And Trump was quick to point out they never called out Joe Biden for his inefficiencies, his inability to get upstairs.
We had a president that was grossly incompetent. You knew it, I knew it, and everybody knew it, but you guys didn't want to write it because you're fake news.
All right. Thank you.
And by the way, ABC is one of the worst. I have to be honest with you.
I love that soundbite. They are one of the worst. So I would ask this. Well, look, President Trump agrees to interviews because he'll talk to anybody because he believes in what he says. Opposed to a Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Gavin Newsom, all of these clowns, they don't like to do sit-down interviews because they don't believe in what they're pushing, or they don't have anything to push other than hate towards President Trump. But when you believe in the policies, when you believe in the solutions, you'll talk to anybody. This is how I feel. I would go on any network. They won't have me. CNN, MSNBC, they won't have me come on as a guest. I would gladly go on. I'll talk about solutions all day long, and I got lots of them. My fellow Republicans have lots of them. But they don't want to hear the solutions. Democrats only want to spew hatred. It's really quite sad, actually. Last one from Terry Moran.
A legal note fraud is a crime. There have been no referrals.
All right, so this is talking about the Doge team and whether or not they've actually referred any fraud cases to the DOJ after finding all of this waste, fraud, and abuse.
A legal note fraud is a crime. There have been no referrals to the Justice Department on any.
Well, you don't know that, do you? How do you know that?
Have there been referrals to the? Are there criminal
How
referrals?
would you know that there were no referrals? I think there were referrals.
They generally, all right, there's been no investigation from the Justice Department.
How do you know that?
I'm asking you, sir.
No, you're not asking me. You made a statement. You're not
Now
asking
I'm
me.
asking you.
That was a statement that you made. There have
Now I'm
been.
asking you.
Have there been? Yes, there have.
So there have been referrals for fraud from the work of
Of course they have been. Take a look at some of these things that took place. Billions of dollars were given to people for no reason whatsoever. Of course they have been.
I want to bring up.
So, again, Terry Moran doesn't know whether there's been referrals to the Justice Department. When there's a referral, it doesn't mean that an indictment is written the next day. There's a referral to the Justice Department. You then refer that to the FBI or the IRS or whatever the investigating agency may be. Then they start to conduct an agency. Then you go for warrants. Then you go for interviews. Then you go out on the streets. These things take months. President Trump has been in office 100 days. You don't know that indictments aren't coming. Now, Terry Moran says, oh, there's no referrals. Because what he's trying to do is tell you that the Doge savings are fake. The only thing fake in that Oval Office is Terry Moran, his network, and the media that he represents. Guaranteed. Hey, folks, I want to tell you about my friends over at the Wellness Company, and I've got something to play for you. Let me get their logo here. This is about their new parasite cleanse. Okay, and let me play it for you. Why is this not working for me? Gosh almighty. Hold on. All right, let me see here. Okay. Let's play this and then I'll show you. So this is about the Wellness Company, their new parasite cleanse, twc.health/grant. Watch this.
What are the main differences between ivermectin and fenbendazole? These are two anti-pathogens used to treat parasitic infections and other similar types of conditions. They are used quite often in the oncology world to treat cancer. They both have as anti-pathogenic abilities.
All right, folks, did you know that right now 60 million Americans apparently have parasites? It's scary, right? They're everywhere in our food, our water, our pets. They secretly invade your body, wreaking havoc on your gut, energy levels, even your brain. And the mainstream media doesn't want you to know about this. But there is a great cleanse that can change your life. And it comes from the Wellness Company. Just fill out a brief medical intake form and get a 3-month supply right there on your screen, twc.health/grant. There are lots of parasite cleanses all over social media, but this one is the gold standard. It's sold out 3 times, by the way, and we now have it back in stock. Maha is officially here. The Wellness Company is making these hard-to-get medications digitally accessible so you can live your best life. Go to twc.health/grant. Use that promo code GRANT for 10% off. Remember, there's free shipping. twc.health/grant. Use the promo code GRANT. These parasites are disgusting, folks. I'm getting one of these cleanses, and I'm getting my body rid of them. Fatigue, all kinds of stuff. Anyway, go to twc.health/grant. Use the promo code GRANT for 10% off. All right, anybody see Gavin Newsom? Gave a speech yesterday. Trump's 100 days in office, Gavin Newsom decided that he'd come out and address the media.
California's sanctuary status is legal, period, full stop. We apply rigor to aligning ourselves with federal law. And again, that was stress tested independently by the federal courts. And they upheld our point of view and our sanctuary status. So I think we are in good, sound footing. That said,
excuse me? Your sanctuary status is not in good, sound footing. When you ignore federal law, when you refuse to work with ICE, when you refuse to have not just cities and towns, police and sheriff's departments, but state agencies refusing to cooperate with federal agencies, this is outside the bounds of the law. When there is a detainer on a fugitive from justice, You have a right to turn that. You have a mandate to turn that person over. California is ignoring those mandates. That's breaking the law. So President Trump issues an executive order just 2 days ago saying, hey, you're a sanctuary city, town, or state. We're going to do an investigation for you into you, and whatever is appropriate, we're going to pull back funding.
It's a very hyper political environment, and he's trying to score political points. But our job is to remind communities of their rights, to remind our diverse communities that we have their back. And I'm here to remind you that the reason I called for this special session in the state legislature was to do just that.
You think the people of California believe that Gavin Newsom has their back? Crime is at an all-time high. You can't sit in an outdoor cafe in Beverly Hills and not worry about getting robbed in that state. Trust me, I know. I do radio there every morning. People call in. They're afraid. They're afraid to walk on the streets. They're afraid to get on mass transit, especially in L.A. and San Francisco. California's been a complete disaster, and this man has the audacity to stand behind a podium that says efficient, effective, and engaged.
But I think the most difficult thing is when you're tearing something down, it's easy to get attention.
He's accusing President Trump of tearing America down. What did Joe Biden do? This is exactly the line I used about Joe Biden. That Joe Biden was able to tear America down after 4 years of President Trump's work. He literally opened up the borders, let the floodgates go, and tore this nation apart in just days. Now he's using that line about President Trump. Excuse me, the border is now 99% shut down. Okay? You've got grocery prices that are falling. Eggs, 87% less than what they were under Joe Biden when Trump took office. Okay? You've got gas prices that are down 7%. Interest rates will fall fairly soon. The economy will get back up and running fairly soon. President Trump is at least actively engaged in making America great again, something Joe Biden was actively not engaged in. What he was engaged in was making America horrible again.
The easiest thing in the world is tear something down. I can do all that in 10 days. I don't even need 100 days to tear everything down. It took decades and decades to build up. Building things is hard. Starting from scratch, improving things, reforming things. That's what we're promoting. Efficiency, engagement, better outcomes and results. That's real work.
Wait a second. Efficiency and engagement. There are 4 permits issued for the LA wildfires in Malibu and beyond. 4. This was back in January these fires happened. Is that efficiency and engagement? No. You had a budget that started at $209 billion when you took office for the state of California. It's now at $322 billion. How is that efficiency and engagement? You started with a surplus and now you run a huge deficit. How is that efficiency and engagement, Governor Newsom?
And so I think my reflection is that's unfortunate because the amount of outsized attention that's gotten versus the attention builders are getting and people are trying to build bridges and bring people together is disproportionate. There's an asymmetry there, and that's a broader societal conversation, and candidly, that's what engage.ca.gov hopes to address, a new deliberative platform to provide consensus, more voice, more choice, and trust, the coin of the realm. Thank you.
I wish, if you're listening on the podcast platform and not the video platform, you could see this idiot with his hands. He looks like he's engaged in sign language, okay? With his double fists, lots of rolling with the hands, lots of movements. He does even a Steph Curry shimmy shake. I don't understand. I guess it's to divert his attention from what he's not saying. Okay, what he's not saying is California is a failure and it's a failure under his leadership. Listen to this.
Request for proposals, lobbyists getting involved, and people, frankly, protecting incumbency. We created a sandbox to iterate.
There's the shake.
People are able to iterate in real time. That's what led to nation-leading technology in firefighting. We announced all that a couple days ago. People always say, well, you need to do more in technology in firefighting. Well, people travel the world to see California's leadership as it relates to the introduction of artificial intelligence and what we're doing.
Travel the world to see California's leadership. All you have to do is travel to Skid Row in downtown Los Angeles, and that's the prime example of California leadership. All you have to do is see, as I mentioned, the deficits exploding. California leadership. Wildfires that explode because there's no water in the fire hydrants. California's leadership. You've got real estate prices that are through the roof because of overregulation. California leadership. Taxes that are unbearable for the people of California. California leadership. Gas at the highest levels in California compared to any other state. California leadership. People are traveling the world to see this? I don't think so, Gavin Newsom. I really, really do not think so. Hate to break the news to him on that. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us today. I appreciate you joining me. Stinchfield's Army rolls. I'm going to be in California at the Unite IE Conservative Conference in Ontario. If anybody's out that direction, come see us. Saturday, starting at 11 o'clock at the Doubletree in Ontario. I will be out there. It'll be great. And we got the Real America's Voice show tonight I'm looking forward to. And so we're going to talk about this. We're also going to talk about California lawmakers protecting sexual predators, protecting sex traffickers. Yes, actively protecting them. We'll talk about that on the Rav show tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Stinchfield 1776 on all the social media platforms. GrantStinchfield.com. GrantStinchfield.com is the website. Feel free to contact me there. There's an email box that comes right to me. I always respond to the emails I get. So I urge you to do that. GrantStinchfield.com. Stinchfield's Army rolls because of all of you. We'll see you soon. Thanks for watching, everybody.